welcome to the panel discussion for the OTSP, or on the same page evening. We are committed to take book art to one and all, the artists and the viewers. And one such initiative is a magazine we have published this year, solely on the aspect of book art. Various aspects of book art have been covered in the magazine. So taking little steps towards a longer journey, and I request the three guests to just unveil the magazine for us. Yeah. The magazine is called Lines. It's an online magazine, so we will share the downloadable link with everybody. Yeah, the other day when we were actually discussing about this particular session on the panel, Anil sir told me book is a museum without walls. So that kind of stuck. And as it is, the book is a museum without walls, what would an artist book be? Already, I mean, a book has certain little boundaries, but what can be the artist book be if its book is a museum without walls? That was what I was deliberating on. And just to let the viewer, audience a little bit of a segue into what book art is, I would like to ask Ravi, how do you define actually these artist books and how different they are from the regular books and other things? Thank you.
Should I speak in English or Kannada? English better. Okay. Okay. So first of all, I'm very happy to be inaugurating this show with Jayasimha and Anil, and also releasing the book. And book art or artist book has been around in Europe from 60s onwards. But in India, there were not many artists who were practicing it or exploring the possibility of the medium and the form. And in the last couple of years, it has become more and more prominent. So in that sense, in terms of Bangalore, this is I would say it's a landmark show, because first time the visitors are able to see that many artist books in one place, in one go. So I wish, on the same page group and community, many more such, successes, and they have a long way to go, because they have a lot of plans as I keep talking to them. And I would say these are the first baby steps which will keep growing further, and the community will also become bigger. Occasionally, there are artists who have done one artist book or two artist books, but they're not really exploring the form in a much deeper engagement. So I would like just to start by putting few frameworks. When we say artist books, the immediate comparison would be a writer's book. Normally when I say book, the association with artist is not there at all. I would say when I say book, it will be writer. Writer will write the book, and then an artist will be called to make up a cover page or maybe some illustrations, etc. But it is never an artist book. It's always a writer's book, as if they have a certain kind of dominance or in the clutch. So the other kind of confusion people do make is that when I say artist book, people think that it is a book written by artists, like many artists write books, some novels and poetry and or maybe biography and things like that, or even autobiography. So artist books are not written by artists. It's less about writing and so on. It is also not books about artists themselves, like monographs and biographies and things like that. It is the book form that is explored by visual artists. So if you think that what would be the kind of book that the visual artist can generate or imagine or execute or manifest, that would be the artist book. So where there can be text, but it's largely visual. That is one important aspect. And as compared to other kind of art forms, book art has got certain very important characters. One is the intimate scale. Like you have to always look at it from very close and then, turn the pages and so on. And in the idea of turning the pages itself, there is an idea of sequence. The narrative gets, sequenced in the sense, if I look at a painting, the whole painting comes to me in one go. But if I'm looking at an artist book, I can build up a narrative, or I can build up an argument, I can build up an idea, so that I begin somewhere and then gradually end up somewhere. So that is a very important aspect of the book art form. And the third thing is, like when I say a book is never living alone. Like whenever I have to read a book, there will be other 100 books which are referred to that in that book. So in that sense, an artist book is also a form that will refer to other artist books, other kind of art forms and so on. The other important aspect is it can explore material. Like the same image or the same book, if I do with leather, or if I do with metal, if I do with cloth, if I do with some other material, the meaning will start changing. So in that sense, artist books have this advantage of using different kind of material, so that the idea and the concept can really start becoming very interesting. And then within the artist book, there are several kinds of formats. One is the book object. Like you saw some of the books, even one of my book is like that. It has reference to a book form, but it cannot turn the page. So it's always, so that is one kind of, book art that you can see. Second kind of book art is full book, where there are 10, 15, 20 pages, etc. You can turn the pages around, and then there will be some kind of images, drawings, whatever you want to add there. So that is the second kind of form. And third kind of form is you can take an existing book and then you can do something with that. Like you can add some text, or you can cut it, or you can make, so thereby you are subverting the existing book and then you are changing the meaning of that. So, and the fourth kind of book is the photo book, which comes from the photography practice. So these are the four kind of forms. But there are certain institutions, like in America, there is an institution called Minnesota Center for Book Art, MCBA it's called. Every 2 years once they have a international art competition. And if you go to their website, you will see how hundreds of artists have explored different ideas of book in visual form. So that is something, it's a very good source for if somebody is starting to understand book art as a form, they can go and see there. That's a good source, for anybody to explore. So the other important thing is we were just talking with somebody. It seems there was a show of sketchbooks. So the question is sketchbook an artist book? I would say no, because there is no intentionality of making an entire book. You don't have the whole, idea which is, beginning, because sketchbooks are mostly done like a practice. You see something today, then you don't see something then. So sketchbook doesn't really come within the ambience of the, the artist book, unless you really plan for it and then, okay, I will sketch somebody who is standing in a bus stand. Every day at 10 o'clock, I will go and draw somebody who is there. So then it becomes a conceptual idea, then the whole book holds together. So these are the kind of clarifications which I wanted to bring before we start discussing artist books, because there are a lot of confusion, there are a lot of gray areas about discussion with artist books.
Yeah. It's interesting to note here that the intentionality kind of determines the difference between a book and the artist book, one of the main deciding factor. Yeah. So, taking from there, I've also seen that we have seen a shift from paperback and hardcover books the reading books to the new technology advancements that have happened, and the book is no longer many times a regular book that you hold in the hand. In those, this thing, has artist books also seen a shift in the technology, and has it actually made a difference and additions, or what is the scenario right now? Like to ask Anil about that. Yeah, with the advancement of technology and the digitalization of books and stuff, immaterial books, the absence of the material, this thing. Yeah. So how is that?
See, for me, as an art historian, book art is a new form, though Ravi has been practicing it from almost 3 decades. And as an art historian, my book is different. And a book also has a history. I think I'll just give you a background of the evolution of book art form rather than delve into that specific question. Books came before printing technology came. Not the book art, but book as it is. And there were unique books. And the books were written between the, like he mentioned, you make a picture for a note, it becomes an illustration. You write a text for a picture, it becomes a critic. So those barriers were overcome by the book art at one point. And after the printing technology, the book lost a bit of its aura of being the original. And that aura is what the book art perhaps is trying to reclaim now, which in future, I think the printmaker, Jayasimha, will be able to say what happened to that idea of, but now these days, the Japanese, they keep looking at books without actually touching it, the virtual books. So the question of book is also both a verb and a noun. It's like painting. It's both an act and also an object. So book etiquette. You're in my books. You're in my good books. So it has multitudes of impressions it has got. But in terms of printing also, if you look at print on demand, they don't print 1,000 books at one go, but only if you order something, they give you a book. And so that saves the problem of space. And the book and the relation between book and the virtual is that it cancels the idea of our physical notion. Like Ravi was mentioning that, where do you imagine a book? A book is never alone. It has so many citations, and it is also pulled out from a library. If you remember that old classic Alexandria library and the question around, so many stories. Umberto Eco has written a novel about how comedy as a book was banned from the church and people tried to destroy it. So in this idea, I think technology, the idea of printing, the idea of form, important relevance to form is a very typical visual art premise. But have we come to a definition of book art, though it's 60s, it's almost 8 decades now. I think the connection goes to a larger context where the word ephemeral is used. Ephemeral is temporary, something that gets destroyed, which a modern art museum is not at all comfortable with. They buy an artwork and then if it gets destroyed tomorrow, they're investing, art all said and done after colonization is an investment to begin with. That's how the murals before colonization were attached to the architecture. You had to take the artwork, you had to take the building with you. The colonization created easel paintings which could be moved like a product from one point to other. I think that's where the technology comes over. After that, Heidelberg's printing technology, it also killed a lot of elements that goes into book art. The idea of calligraphy, the idea of ready-made fonts coming into that. And then I still remember when Ravi started Sanchaya magazine, they used to join the letters, what do you say? Letterpress. We have written articles for those. You make one mistake, they change the whole line and then keep, it seems like age-old times, but it's just 3 decades old. So in that sense, I think technology has always posed challenges, but for book art, it has come as a blessing in disguise, where the vanishing of ready-made printing letters comes back where you make, a book always has a print letter on the paper. On is a very important word. But we remember works of somebody like Somnath Hor, a well-known printmaker, where he went to the factory and made whatever images he want, even when the paper was being made. So you can't remove the on image from the below paper, and he called the whole series as wound series, which means when the blood oozes out of the body, it dries up there. Is it a part of the body? Yes, it's blood coming out. Can it be removed off without affecting the body? Yes, it can be removed. So he was referring to this great Bengal massacre of millions of people dying. He called the whole civilizational activity war as wounds. So I think it's a subjective interpretation, but technology as such, if you're referring to digital technology, that could always be continued. But I also have heard that people have been using this social media frame of Facebook, Insta itself as the surface and the gallery walls to display their works. Like I met many of my friends after many, many years here, but every day I follow their works on the social media. Some of them have articulated it to be an actual display space. This is where technology perhaps opens up many possibilities. So it's just a background rather than answering your question directly. And maybe JC wants to say something around.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should I continue the same thing?
You can. If you can add to it. Yeah.
I think what I feel, I mean, I largely agree with both of them, but what I strongly feel is first thing we have to understand that book, there's a thing called idiosyncrasy, and the book as a form is highly idiosyncratic. For each of us, it's special. Each one of us see a book in a very different way. First thing we need to understand that. And the second thing is mostly about the factor of binding. Even if we see the show, what we saw here, the effort is more about bringing things together, and there's always the storytelling telling aspect is quite latent, because the form itself yields in a certain kind of understanding. We feel like, okay, there's more to this, I have to go in order for me to understand what it is. With a painting, it's not really like that. Yeah, and when Ravi sir mentioned there are these intimate spaces or intimate way of looking at an art object, especially, what's very interesting is it sort of gets problematized. Today, one can feel like highly uncomfortable touching those books when they are put in pedestal. Now, what happens to viewership, and where the artists, how they are pushing. So these are all some important concerns we need to really look or think about. At least we don't have to resolve any of these things. I think at least we should start thinking about these things. What are these? And the most important thing, what I personally feel with the form itself, is it masquerades the presence of multiple, but it becomes unique. And the agency of the author is complete. Like, for example, if you go for any book, like there is so many people, it's almost like a collaborative process. There's a designer, there's an illustrator, there's a printer, binder. When the form comes together, it passes through so many people's hand. But especially in these nascent, or the earliest times, at least in our country, a book art or any form of artistic invention in making the book, the agency is completely with the artist, yet. And I'm very happy about that, because the artists make sure that they go through every aspect of it, every detail of it. And we don't know where it's going to go ahead, but yeah, congratulations to Sharmila madam and Pranjit for bringing this up. As Ravi sir mentioned, this is actually quite a milestone, because this is a form which a lot of people who are sort of shy in exploring, they want to understand what it is. Sometimes it has a very weird facade. There's an elephant in the room. Oh, can I touch this form? Can I appropriate? Can I work with this? But in reality, if you look at it, it's pure appropriation. Book is a form highly appropriated by the artist. And likewise, writers, likewise, poets, so on and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah. Very well said. And it has opened up a lot of things to deliberate upon, this particular points you have raised, especially about the uncomfortability of touching. And the moment you step into a museum, all that they say is stay away. And here we are encouraging them to, okay, you can touch, feel, make it your own. Yeah, wear the gloves. And kind of you can very intimately hold it and feel it. So yeah, that's a very valid thing. And you want to add anything to that, Ravi? Or
basically, a book art form can be either a unique book where there is only one piece, or it can be like a limited edition where you use some printmaking technology and make like 20, 30, whatever, or it can be like a mass-produced. So all three possibilities are there, but each one will bring its own quality possibility, you know, in terms of like what you can do with a unique book, you can't do with a mass-produced book. So those are the possibilities.
And how have actually the aspects of, I mean, if we see, is there a way that we can blend this into the academia in a way where in the visual arts academics, is there a space where we can, you know, aspire to create in terms of designing and, you know, creating a book art? How do you feel? Is there a space available for the academics?
If I have to do it, I would put it as an optional subject or an elective subject, where somebody, say, from printmaking or from painting, they're interested, they can, you know, come and be part of that workshop or part of that 15 days or 1 month optional course, so that they can combine, you know, paper making, print making, binding all together and create a set of books. So
Yeah.
I would think to begin with, that is a good way of
Starting to introduce them. Yeah, and as of today, where the Western world has progressed with their book art scenario, and like in the terms of practices, exhibitions, and the spaces available for them to exhibit, where do you think, as India, we can make a you know, a change? In terms of whether it's a space to exhibit or encourage more people to indulge in this practice, and so what are the avenues that we can access as a collective and as an individual artist?
Yeah, I mean, book art, for example, it's not defined yet. So was painting at one point, and so was television and photography. When photography and television came, they came as documentary apparatus. They were documenting paintings. Television was telecasting the films already made. Unlike now, where television produces its own series, photography is accepted as art form even within Lalit Kala academies. And now if you think about, I used to teach here at Chitrakala Parishath, and I used to make pictures, but I was a thorough art historian. But when I joined Shristi, I also turned into a graphic novelist. So I make this 10-page graphic novel, and then a form which within Bangalore city, between two institutions, there's a form that is accepted and not accepted. So there I even teach graphic novel, and we have a new MA course called Graphic Novel Sequential Narratives, where the book art form might find some more prominent spaces. And Shristi students usually tend to make a lot of zines. And when we look at the display here, I also found a bit of origami, a bit of zine. In the name of book art, there's so many sub-branches I see, and that opens up so many gray areas, like Ravi and you know, JC were mentioning. Into the academia, we follow, I mean, I think the syllabi we follow at Shristi. I'm not saying that it just is the thing, but they are open about redefining the course that we teach. One thing we are very particular there is not to stress on any form as the subject. For example, at CKP we have a form-driven department like painting, sculpture, art history, but there we have something called contemporary art practice, visual culture, yeah, and we have digital media. So they can explore in any form they want, out of which book art could be one of them coming in, based on the interest of and the capacity of each of the faculty picking up. And it might come into practice much faster for one reason, that it's affordable in the making of it, in the sale of it, but also one of the problem that Ravi and JC can answer is this question of editions. When you make a print, there are editions. Do books have editions? And also, books are always page turners, like you need to wear a gloves and then turn the page. It's not available to the naked eye at one go, like a canvas or a mural. A sculpture is a different thing. You need to go around, you need to walk around that. So the possibility of book art is, it's already in process, though you know, only the limbs and a few details of the book art has been inculcated into the premise of teaching courses, perhaps more in Baroda, less in Shantiniketan and places like art schools located within design and technological institutions. And there's always hopes it's working.
Yeah, let's hope for the best. And any the future of book art, what would you actually see as a yeah, so that we as a collective also have our next goal set in the next
I don't
direction.
know about the future. I think it's too much to speculate on future while we're still figuring out the present. That's what I feel. But one thing for sure, I'll stand by with what I'm trying to say is, I think if I'm not wrong, please correct me. In late 90s, KGS did a whole lot of books for children, and Siegel published it. Now, it's interesting, in retrospect, when we look at it, when these books, I'm trying to sort of answer two questions at the same time. When these books are like, the moment you get to know they are limited edition, there is a certain kind of awareness, there's a certain kind of heightened sense of like, oh, I want this because it's KGS and all of that. Well, we don't know whether he intended it as book art or whether he just wanted to make a book. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. As a form, it's quite porous and it's highly appropriable. And anyone can, and end of the day, like, you know, it depends on the artist. As I said, I can't emphasize enough the agency of the artist. When they want to tell a story, if they feel the form of a book is appropriate, they'll choose it and they'll work accordingly, or they'll do whatever. So, I don't know, in future, maybe I think people might, especially in the age of AI, I think that's what is happening right now, and probably people might come back to their lost interest. They might come back into in the making rather. So that's what I feel. So, but it's very difficult to sort of position it as like an element of a certain stature because it is still not yet that.
Not yet.
I mean, again, in the Western civilization, the histories are longer, the durations are longer. We have had enough time to observe, look at the thought patterns, how people look at it. Here, it's picking up, and also there's some sort. There's on a large end. Forgive me for saying this. On a large end, there's a lot of mimicking the moment going on. But it'll come down for sure, because any new thing which comes in, it has to go through that cycle, and you know, and then I'm hoping there'll be new works and
Yeah.
Just want to add one or two things.
Yes.
In especially Europe and parts of America, many of these book exhibitions are held in libraries. And because the book art, the size is so small, we can pack it up in a small box and send it off. So somebody in that city will receive it and show it there, and then it will move on. So it becomes like a touring talkies kind of thing. So in that sense, library can be one important thing. And there are, like Princeton University Library, they acquire artist books. There are many major university libraries. They acquire artist books as part of the collection. It's called special books. One of my book is there in Princeton University, which was, I did work with, Jayasimha on that. It was a copper, material we used and all that. But yeah, that's one possibility. And galleries are not yet open, so you'll have to make your own spaces. And maybe art schools can become like, you can have pop-up shows in art schools and academic spaces and things like that. And collector base is very small, almost nil, so you'll have to fund yourself and then brace.
Yeah. Apparently.
Basically, you're doing something because you really like doing it. So
Yes.
there's no point in talking about the commercial aspects of it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, the commercial aspects are.
I just wanted to add this point that when Subramanian did those books for children, they were children book for the elders. And recently, when there was an exhibition curated by Nancy at Chitrakala Parishath, she redefined the meanings of those that KGs and his followers didn't realize or endorse. So there she was bringing in the idea of, the book is now a collectible thing. At the same time, like I told you, that the definition of book is so flexible that I was mentioning this book by Oran Pamuk. called as that Museum of Innocence. It's about 1970s lifestyle in Turkey. He wrote the book in 2010 around. Within 4 years, the government collected about 4,000 objects mentioned in the book, and they made a physical museum called as Museum of Innocence. It's usually the other way around, where you write books about museums, you don't make a museum out of a book. So these kind of possibilities are always there, where in the future, the collectors, the curators, they might interpret it differently, because book art is not an invention as much as it is a discovery of multitudes that already prevailed. That's what I think.
Yeah, very well said. And we have some things that we can actually look forward to in for our future journey as a thing. And anything like you would, all three of you would like to add regarding the show that you saw? A few words on the show, and then we can close the panel. Yeah.
Well, I saw the show. I was an art reviewer for Times of India, Indian Express, etc. And then when my friends used to party in the opening, I used to concentrate a lot looking at the works, because I had to condense it within 500 words before it goes to the print. There are too many things in the name of book art here. A very sincere practitioner like Ravi might, have a lot of says he could have done this, etc. It could be actually a series of painting put together. A graphic novel, I saw one there. Then I saw a few books which were flipped through like an old conventional book. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And then I saw your police work, and then we thought there could be something on the other side. The best part about this exhibition is that there's more left to add on, not from the audience side, but as an artist, co-artist, I feel like adding on to that, which triggers, and that triggering aspect is what keeps the show very much alive for me. I make graphic novels, so whenever I see, I was wondering, why is my graphic novel a book art? I don't use technology till the final most scanning comes to the fore. I write my own story onto my mobiles. I know that 75 words is the number of words that goes into one page. And then I hand draw the letters, and then I make the pictures. I usually don't follow the printable classic way of graphic making. I write first, and then wherever there's some space, I draw pictures and use the bubble, etc. So it doesn't fit into any print graphic novel formats of populance. In that sense, there are multitudes of definition of book art here, where many of them fall out according to the ritualized practice. But since it's still unestablished completely, there could be a lot of seeping in things, like I was mentioning about Somnath Or. I don't know whether Somnath Or, if he was alive, he would have accepted my definition of his works as book art. Don't leave it to the authors, but it's amazing. I've seen many curators putting together shows between the amateurs and the professionals, in between gray areas, but touching upon a very unusual subject like book art is quite a daring act. And I think, like you regularized it, you need to make it periodic, chronic, and then continue with that. Immense possibilities, but I think more appreciation, couple of days more, taking them through with each artist speaking about that, is the way you add on meanings. Pictures don't have meanings, but what we allege is the meaning that comes to that. And this is the opportunity we need to use to empower what is already inherent in that.
Thank you so much, sir.
I am one of the participating artists, so I should not say in it. So the thing is, when you do the work in the studio, it feels very different. When you show the work with many other artists, then you realize maybe this could have been done, that could have been done. So there are aspects of your own work which you start discovering in the gallery, or when you're talking to somebody. I think that is a very important, what shall I say, takeaway. Because in the studio, again, you are isolated, you are working on your own. But when it's put up in a display area, it is not necessary everybody has to be on the same page. They can be on different pages of the same book. That's possible. And then you also start looking at if this theme that has been taken, the idea of conflict, how many different ways you can approach that at a personal level, at a society level, at a various kinds of things. So is that covered or not covered, or do you want to come to that subject in a very direct manner or a very nuanced, indirect manner? Can it be just suggested and let go? So all those things are there. So it's more of a introspective moment, I think.
Yes.
But in terms of coming together, it's a nice. I see a lot more, accordion kind of format. I'm yet to figure out why is that, because it may be the easiest form of, extending a drawing or a painting into a book art. But even that can become much more interesting. Like somebody like Ghulam Sheikh has done huge paintings which are, extension of the accordion format. And then he has taken this, traveling temples from the Orissa and Gujarat border. And he has taken that, like these traveling temples are like small temple formats which open up. So he takes it and makes a huge painting out of that, rather installation out of it. So it depends on how one wants to deal with it. But a memorable book or a book form will be where the unity of form, content, and then the material comes together. Then then it becomes a really strong work. That's where I think one has to think about. And
Right.
What I feel is like, I think under the umbrella term book arts or artist book, this becomes an interesting side to see how various people approach that term and what are their understandings, how they sort of use that to communicate their pressing concerns. Because over the centuries, like we've all developed, we've all gone through visual literacy, for example. What I mean by this is like painting. If I say painting, there's only so much you can understand in a painting, or there's only so many possibilities you have in a painting. But here what is happening is each one is trying to bring in their own understanding. As I said earlier, I see a lot of binding these stories happening here rather than imagined as books or imagined as certain formats, which is also a possibility of looking at certain things. So there's both convergence and divergence, and I think there's a lot of room for that. That's what I felt, and yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
The participants could also speak up. Would be very curious to know about how your take on that.
So actually, I open the house up now for any questions or any reflections on the thing. If any of you want to have a question for the panelists, or you want to say anything, or any of you, any questions or.
I think there are many artists here. You could also tell us about.
Good evening. This means I'm not a. This is my maybe a fourth or fifth book. I started in last year one show. It is a cookbook and recipes. I'm very curious about the material and different formats because I'm multidisciplinary artist. So that will helps. This is very curious and the concept also. Thankful to Sharmila for this opportunity. Yeah, and I'm happy to collaborate. Means I met some other artists from across the country. So this is the good opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm Nija Peters from New Delhi. And this, more than the show, I think this discussion has been very educative and very, very thought-provoking. Thank you very much. And about my work, I love to explore the line and form and color. And it may be in 2-dimension or 3-dimension. And I like to break the conventions. And so when this, idea of book art came over, and this is our third show together, it just got me hooked onto books. And books in a sculptural form, also in concertina, which you said is quite easy, and that's like very doable. But I think the best part of this show, I felt, is that it inspired us all to explore further, push boundaries, think more imaginatively, creatively, and there's no end to that. And especially this theme of conflict, the way each one has dealt with. In my particular work, I have dealt with the kind of judgments we make when we look at anybody, their dress, the way we greet them, their names. We sort of judge and classify even architecture when it comes to that in barriers of ethnicity, nationality, and then all our judgments and biases come over and all that conflicts, you know, when you interact. I've been lucky to be part of a lot of international shows and camps where, you know, as soon as you mention you're Indian, suddenly, you know, you see various countries and their, you know, perspective. I'm not saying anything is negative or positive. It's just that we sort of classify everything. And even before actual interaction, we are sort of, the conflict begins. So that was the idea. And the second collaborative work was about the photographs that I had taken during the India-Pakistan conflict. Sunrise used to be a time when I used to think of colors and in my paintings and all the bright colors in the horizon. But somehow during those days when war was impending, the sky seemed just gray, and it had sort of, the conflict had dimmed the light of the sky. And so I just created a photo collage just to convey how our shared light, you know, just dims automatically whenever there's a conflict. Thank you very much for, you know, it's an honor to be here.
Thank you, everyone. I am Promit Parnopal from Agartala, Tripura. So I am the one of the practicing artists, and not only that, the panel discussion was very fantastic. That's why I am inspired about your talk, because the real conflicts has came when Raviji is seeing my books. So that time he advised me that about my display. So I am also thinking that, yeah, in my studio, so it's happened that I am thinking like that, but when it's a real place in the audience, so that's make the change. So that's you discuss. So, so I am also thinking still now that is it my right way to display that everyone can read and touch my books, and what I want to say in my book, that could be readable or visualization is there. Both are simultaneously important, reading and the visuals, because as an artist, I am always thinking that visual power in much more than a word power. So sometime I written there, sometime I only narrate with my images, which has came in my daily life or every day I am searching for. So all those things, only one line is now is going to conflicts. That's, is it the real conflicts that when the work is in display, so how it could be interact with the people. So those such thing is going in a way that people are reader or the viewer can communicate with my work. So that could be my pleasure with my work. That name is the Fleeting Moments of My Innocence. Thank you.
Okay. Namaskara, everyone. Thank you so much to be a part of this evening, and I'm honored to be a part of this wonderful exhibition. I would like to start with one shloka of Shadanga. Rupa Bheda Pramanani Bhavalavanya Yojanam Shadrishya Varnika Bhangam Iti Chitra Shadangakam. So, as we can see, the theme of this exhibition is lines of conflicts. Okay, most of the people, whenever they look at the theme, so the word conflicts, it raises so many questions. Whenever I also saw that time, so I thought the conflicts. But there is also one word that is all about lines. And what I feel that every artist started with dots and with lines with their journey. So here in this book exhibition, I also presented my works, whatever my journey started from like India and China. So whatever I learned there, so I just describe each and everything through my book. So this is really an amazing journey, and also I'm thankful to Sharmila ma'am, Pranjita, and each fellow artist and curators. Thank you so much, and yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Shijo Jacob. I am coming from Kerala, and it's a thank you to Sharmila for participating. It's a wonderful show, and thank you to all panelists because we made a wonderful discussion about the book art because many of them doesn't know about what is book art or artist books, and even people have more conflicts about book art. That is about art or it's about reading book or this kind of confusion is always there. So you people, cleared it, what is book and what is book art. And what I felt, recently also I curated one show about book art in Chennai and Delhi. In that I raised an issue. I always consider this exhibition as a library, So whenever we go to the library with the reference, we can reference the art or whatever it is, or read it, So I think, visually we can read, and we can execute a book as a visual representation, So that's why I always think, this is a library. So we can go, anytime we can go and read the book and we can refer it, That's why I always consider, book art is something different from other painting or other kind of expression. If I'm a painter, I'm continuously doing the painting, and at the same time, I used to do the book arts and sketch books and this kind of things also. Anyway, thank you too.
My name is Jim from Bangalore, and I come from a world that's very different from all of yours. Consider me as a friend of artists, and therefore the world I plug into would be usually people who would love to enjoy what you create, and I myself spend a lot of time with artists to really indulge in the creative process, what has been created, etc. For me, the book art or book as a medium of art has been one of a very. I'm very curious about how this will turn out to be, because if I look at it historically too, a lot of artists have the sketchbooks that are there. Their themes and concepts are already made notes for. There are miniature expressions of whatever the artwork that they're going to create in much larger grand scheme that's available in it. And there's a certain level of intimacy to that book. It's very personal, it's very handwritten or hand-drawn for that matter. And I find that to be really valuable. Where I see, because I plug it with people who want to buy or accumulate or collect, etc., is there's a huge boundary to break, which is the stereotyping of what a book is, or what they've kept it for many years. Either the person who was really intimate with it is no more, or they've grown past the intimacy with those books, and they want to see if somebody will buy it or not. It's been one of the most toughest mediums at this point in time to present to someone who collects it to say that, hey, this is there. Because in their mind, somehow it still has to be a 6x4 or a 3x2 or whatever measure, and it has to be displayable on their walls rather than as a collection in their shelf. And breaking this and creating the room for deeper interaction and intimacy with this form, I think that is what will really change the book art to become a more prominent collectible in that sense. And one of the things that from my world of people, what I'd like to bring forward as an insight is, somewhere I feel that between artists, the commercial element of a conversation is almost a repulsive element. We don't want to talk about it, we don't want to address it. It is on such volatile lines that our relationship with money and the commercial element is extremely poor. And if we don't bring that forward and find a way to normalize conversation around it, and also find a way to regulate how is this being presented to, I'm going to use the word marketplace for a lack of a better term. I'd like to make it more elegant, but I'm not able to. But how would you present it to the marketplace so that your commercial needs are taken care of? I find it extremely heartbreaking when I meet some of the artists as to where they stand financially and how there are so many more aspirations to create, but they're not able to move forward because this element is not addressed. So a big request to the community, as someone who's from the outside of much of where you come from, is that find a way, make a room to be able to process, embrace, without embarrassment. Like a lot of the works that I saw are price on request. And as an outsider engaging with an artwork and price on request throws up two questions in my head. If this was clearer, my engagement is clearer. But if I have to, either it can be seen as an invitation for someone who wants to collect to engage with the artist in a dialogue. The other way that this side of the world thinks, because mistrust and everything is as much a reality on that side of the world, is that, oh, so now you look at my face and figure out what is the price that you want to put. So putting it out there, that make room for more conversations around the commercial element. If you don't let it go, because I think that's going to be your engine in the way forward to create this as a medium and make it more collectible and everything. So from deepest part of my heart for you all. Yeah. Yeah, sure. What I mean to say is that I'm very indulgent in the art space for now for almost about 4 or 5 years. Of course, undoubtedly. No, I know this. Sure, sure. No. So please understand, I am not wearing my shades today to look at this with, the tint of the shade. All I'm trying to tell you is how people think, and this doesn't matter. This doesn't bother me. As in a price on request, it doesn't bother me because I see so many different people on an entire large spectrum. The valuation of it can be in many different ways. All I'm saying that, but that's not your larger part of the market. You see, you're still catering to your 0.00001% people, because we all belong to the 1% of this country in terms of economic indicator. So from that, let's say 1,000 is the lot who engage with saying, I want to buy, I want to possess, I want to collect, I want to admire, all of that stuff. And in that thing, if you want to increase that number, which will actually make life better for all of us, I'm saying greater transparency, greater engagement, more dumbed down, more articulated way of putting that out will. I'd love to see this move. I'm very greedy about the art books. And at some point, my more dearer friends, I would love to collect. I mean, I'm just being very naked about the greed of. Sure, I could explore.
Yeah, on that note, we had our second show in a commercial gallery space. And when talking of spaces, I think museums, in addition to the academic spaces, the museums, and we also had a show in the literature, Hindu Lit for Life. That's another, literature festivals are another space where book art can be appreciated and get such audience in terms of collectors and people who would value having them on their shelf for their personal collection as well.
Now, when I make my graphic novels, I store the original works, which is in A4 size, and the printed graphic novel is in A5 size. So A5 size might go to 250 rupees or 300 rupees per 10-page one book at Rangoli Metro or Indie Comics Festival. But the originals I put up here, I send the original works to the White Cube. I send the printed version to the bookstore. And this will, so I mean, it's a huge question. It's like opening up the Pandora box as well. But still a very valid observation that this can really trigger a lot of enthu if there is this economic consistency around it.
Now let's close the panel. I would like to thank a few of the people who have been instrumental in putting up the show today. One is sincere thanks to all the three guests of honor and panelists, Ravi, Anil and Jayasimha, for sharing your expertise. And I think they have already defined a path for us now to look forward to, and introspect about what we are doing, how we are doing, and how we were going to do it further. And this has also given us a lot of motivation to go further with better knowledge on the book art genre. And would like to thank Karnataka Chitrakala Parishath, which has been the hub of art activity for decades now. And they have been supportive all along, as standing with us always. And we thank all the officials, admins, and facilitators for the valuable support we have received for the show today. And it is, it is such an eclectic group of participants we've had. All 19 of the participants. So my huge thanks and lots of love to all of the participants who have showered so much trust on us that we will take care of their belongings and exhibit in the right manner. So I hope we have stood up to that expectation and trust. And yeah, a few people that I would love to take names is my colleagues Srinivasan and PV, who are not here, they might have run up to the gallery, and Manjunath, who helped us last 2 days. He stood by us and helped us putting up this show. And all our families, I'm sure, they've endured a lot while we were doing all these things. So thanks everyone who has braved the weather and still been a part of the audience, and thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to a better and greater shows in future. Thank you. Thank you.